and so and so and so. It is education. Most of us, even in Lagos now, there are certain laws that are out that we don't even know about. We don't even know that certain laws are being shown out regularly. I mean, the House of Assembly, they are sitting down, they are bringing out laws, and we don't. And that does not mean, it's not that the law does not mean you are free, but we don't know, which means as they are showing out the law, we need to educate the public. We need to educate even the so-called people that you think should know. The police who should know do not know. Why? They are also part of the society. That is the power of norms, social norms, and culture, and all the things we call them our belief system, and all of that. You take the woman to the church, they will tell her you talk too much. When your husband talks, you keep quiet. You don't answer him. You know, different things that keep demeaning women and making it look like you don't even have anything. You're just a thing and not a person, not a human. So it is still the system, and education is still one of the major things. Education in why you don't hit her. Okay, you hit her, she fell down, she dies. You have 4 children. Oh yes, it's good to bring another woman in. But what is the guarantee that that woman you're bringing in is going to take care of those children like their mother will take care of them when she's supposed to be alive? And that you even killed her. They don't even see that they contributed to the death. I'm serious. So it is that bad. We don't even understand the depth of what we are doing and how it's affecting the children. You are creating more white Peters. You are creating more domicile and normed girls, you know, who just believe that in a woman's place she should be beaten and you don't talk. My mother is a medical doctor and she was being listening to my father and I saw it and nothing happened. So we make it look okay. We have made it very familiar and very ordinary and very okay. We have lived a culture of denial and accepting things that keep. You see, we bring it down to if it is your sister. Let us assume it's the governor's daughter. We didn't say that they should go and say to rub yourself and go back. No. If it's your niece, no. So bring it that personal. Would you take it? Would you accept this? No, you won't. If at all you accept it, there must be conditions that see you have to go through this, and if anything comes up again, you know, you will be held liable. You will still go through. Of course, even as a first offender, you may get to court, depending on the injury, you may just be given a warning and given to go for counseling. Seriously, those things are also there. They don't send every man to jail. No. Except, of course, the gravity of what you have done.
Yes.
And so even women need to know that they need to speak out earlier.
Yes, because the question is why but can we look at the psychological part to what are some of the reasons why we have seen women, you know, endure such form of hardship or pain in their homes and decide not to speak up?
It is still part of culture. Number one, like I said, we see these examples. We see a lot of violence in our society.
Okay.
We see wives being beaten. So that tells you that educational status or intellect does not give an excuse to who will be battered or who will not be battered. Because of the history of trauma and the history of violence in their life.
Okay.
Somebody has watched a own mother being beaten. I mean, it happens to even people who are judges. This thing is very interesting. You see a female doctor, I'm just saying that, I'm not saying, I don't know any particular, but I'm telling you that it does not have respect for status or for who you are or
position
or how much money you have. It does not have it. You can marry a man who is meaning. And sometimes they get attracted to the same kind of man that their father. Attraction. They go through abusive relationships and they end up marrying somebody who abused them because that is their attraction. And it is embedded at childhood.
Okay.
So these are mostly childhood effects on that's why we say their children are watching them.
Yes.
And that is the impact of abuse on children. That you are doing this thing and it's going to affect your children. Your children are going to release it, and so it becomes a problem.
Let's talk about the criminal justice system. What can you say could be fundamentally wrong with the criminal justice system that has not allowed the fight against gender-based violence achieve so much when it comes to that particular justice?
What we see, really, this time around, what we see is we have a number of laws now. So we have a number of laws, but the implementation of the law and the capacity of those who will implement the law becomes a challenge.
Okay.
Now, the police, there's quite a number of things being done in Nigeria, actually, being done generally across the country. I mean, we have more sexual assault centers now. We have more sexual assault centers. And then also, we have the VAP Act. Many states are are doing their own, domesticating their own years.
Yes.
They're doing their domesticating their own laws. And then also, please hold on, no. Sorry.
All right.
And then, so you find that those who implement the law is the problem. The
Okay.
social workers are not empowered. The police officers are not empowered.
Okay.
They don't even have enough resources to do investigation. So everything falls on the victim and on the victim's family
Okay.
to sponsor the investigation, you know, of the criminal act, supposedly.
Okay.
So, and then we only have one DNA, we only have one forensic lab in Lagos. We have now, I think we have about 26 sexual assault centers in the state. Now with those with that, you find that is not enough.
Okay.
Many people don't even know that. They don't even know that there are places that they will go. So that comes to education. That comes to issue of education. Now, in the rural area, in the urban area, it is still a major issue. Now, all those who are working in clinical hospitals, the medical hospitals are not enough. Like I said, staff are not enough. And when the staff are not enough, so how do I? If I have to leave, let me give you an example of I'm in Ikoyi and I have to go all the way to Yaba or to Mirabel at Ikeja or to Wari Fasiaba. That's a long way. Or I'm in Aja for sexual assault medical attention and forensic gathering. It becomes a huge problem. So these are some of the challenges that we are having. And police not being empowered. We have a few family support units, we have gender desks, but what is the capacity of those who are there? And then when they away again, almost immediately, they are moved away immediately again. Almost immediately, people are moved away, and then you start all over again. So the police system needs to be changed completely. Then the judiciary, courts, we're talking about, some people are opening, some states like Lagos have specialized courts, APT, have specialized courts. But then you're still having a lot of barrage of cases that are not being attended to. The system is very frustrating for somebody who has the case. So we can't continue that way.
Okay.
We can't. It's not helpful. For me now, to tell somebody, okay, you've called me, you have a case. You want to find a way of resolving the case for them, that get me into the criminal justice system. It becomes a huge deficit. And then the professionality of it, we don't have enough capacity of skilled workers. We have. And the skilled workers are overworked. Yes. I mean, like in Lagos, one social worker, you're talking about 10,000 people. What kind of, how? How? How will that work?
Okay. This is still the big question on Women Radio WFM 91.7. And if you are just joining us, we are having a conversation here this morning with regards to violence against women and the criminal justice system. I want to quickly open the phone line. It's 07000 917 917. And I have over the telephone this morning, Dr. Princess Olufemi Kayode, a criminal justice psychologist and founder of MediaCon. Ma, with your experience in the criminal justice system, can you talk about how when we see cases of gender-based violence taking so long, what effect does this have on the survivor?
On the survivor, the interesting thing about it is there are short-term consequences and long-term consequences. Short-term also depends on what type of abuse they have faced, whether they have physical injuries or they get infected. That also happens. So what we see is on that angle. Okay. So that's why when somebody is raped, you need within 72 hours to be able to access prophylaxis exposure, to prevent HIV, and there's hepatitis B vaccine. So many things you need to access, and of course injuries, drugs, prophylaxis of different sorts to stop some other things from happening. And then that's the one angle. Then you're also looking at they have injuries such as care that they have to really teach them off. Those are immediate. Another thing is the psychological aspect. Okay. They have to go through counseling. They need counseling. So important. They need to go through which there will be proper assessment of their safety, of different factors,
Okay.
which the social worker will do, and then also they now put them to therapy.
How has this been helpful in a state, in a place where how is the criminal justice system addressing the issue of victim or survivor blaming? Because that is still a very common issue around us here in Africa, where survivors or the victim is being blamed for what exactly happened. You know, every one of the recent story I heard sometimes about 2 weeks ago of a mother who reported the husband who was molesting the 3 daughters, and then the family members, criminal justice system doing about this.
Okay, the criminal justice system really doesn't have a role in courts to play so much making justice happen for that person. Now, so while they are doing that, you know, cultural and environment, which I talked about in the beginning, that is still a factor. That is why the church, the landlady, the CBA, the king, the high place people will come and say, oh, you know now, God forgive somebody, forgive. And then, of course, if not, they blame the woman. How can you come and say that kind of a thing in public place? Because it's seen as an abomination you don't talk about. You ignore and you put your eyes off. So now what happens? The only thing criminal justice could do is when there is assessment being done, they can say, okay, fine, this woman for safety assessment and protection, she may need to be moved with her daughters out of the environment. That is where criminal justice sector, which comprises of the police, the judiciary prosecutors, and the medical and social workers, and some other NGOs who are service providers who offer services. So shelter issues come out there. But shelter in Nigeria, we have shelters, but they are very few. Compared to the gravity of what is happening on ground. So we need more investment in the area of small-time homes or short-term homes, because the shelter may not take a woman and a family for more than 3 months, maximum. So, and then how many women need shelter, and how many shelters do we have? How many bed space do they have? So those are the kind of questions. Okay, like a woman, let's assume this woman, this reporter's wife, for shelter. She has 4 children. Now, there are lots of other factors to consider. Is she empowered? If she's not, how will she move on after 3 months? Do you understand? There are so many things. It's complex. So sometimes you look at a woman and she didn't move. She's wondering where she's going. Where next? So those are factors to look at that need to be considered. When a woman comes to the problem, you want to assess her safety, you want to assess certain things about her, to know that you are giving a holistic response, which means even the government may not be able to provide that service. Maybe there's somebody else to provide the services. So there's a more people sectoral, comprehensive response. Just one singular survival.
We have to get to the wrap of this conversation right now, and I want to begin to have conversations around what we can begin to do as communities, as people living in this environment where we see this abuse happen. Because take, for example, the case of this particular reporter, and it wasn't happening in isolation. It's not like their houses where nobody else's live, and one way or the other, they must have heard noises, they must have heard voices. How can we as communities, as people living in this environment, begin to contribute to our quota and bringing an end to gender-based violence?
Yes, as communities, it is for us to speak out. And we need more men to do that. We really need more men to step in. It's not just the women making the noise. You see women on the road. Yes, we're having more men, gender-friendly men, who know that the phrase gender equality is not to say a woman to ride her husband in her home, but we're talking about in the workplace, as children, as accessing the same, we have the same human rights to live, to be free, to be safe, to be clothed, everything that we have that is God given, the universal human rights. We are human beings. We are not secondary packaged clothes. And then when you ask an average man and say, would you like your daughter to become a president? They will say yes. Oh, okay. Oh, you want your daughter to be a president. But the wife that you have at home, is there anything wrong with supporting her to be a president or of whatever? You understand? Of course, I'm not saying there are not men who are supporting their wives, but if you want to look at that category, they are so minute compared to the magnitude of the problem. So we need more men in the field to share about the benefits, at least those who have come to know and understand that empowering a girl is empowering a nation. It's not just a family.
Yes. Empowering a girl is empowering a nation.
It's not just even her immediate family or herself.
Okay.
She will do much more. And that is why we are in the state we are in. We are a country without vision. We're a country without purpose. We just get up there, we have so much resources, it's being wasted, it's being messed up, and generations are going to suffer for it.
No, I want you to...
We do not count the girl child as anything. We do not have respect for women. We do not think that they have anything to contribute to the building of the nation, of the immediate family, the community, and of course the nation.
I want to, before I let you go, I want you to quickly talk about this particular issue. I've spoken to a couple of lawyers, and they've mentioned this also with regards to cases being withdrawn because of the pressure that comes in from the cultural family of, oh, you're taking your husband to court, you're taking the father of your children to court. How are we looking at addressing these issues going forward?
I think in Lagos State is a bit better now because the criminal law and the addition of the criminal law gives certain sections and facilities to help put anybody who is obstructing justice. Like if people come to MediaCon, I always advise them immediately to know that the case is not their case. The case does not belong to the father or the mother. The criminal case is a case against the state. So it is the state versus the accused person. So even the name of the survivor or victim is not mentioned. It is like the state of Lagos versus Mr. John, for example. So it is not your case. You are just the key witness. You are key witness. You are not saying lawyer. You are not. It is state prosecutors or police prosecutors that will appear in court. So it does not. So it is still, like I told you, it's still education. When people come to you, particularly as NGOs or even directly to state people, we need to educate them. We need to put materials out there that tell them when they are coming, you see the posters that explaining things to you. You go to the primary health care, you see it. You go to hospital, there are things speaking to you. You put on your radio, the local languages, something is speaking to you to have a better understanding. And even as a man, as you don't want your wife to take you to court, you need to be the man. What does it mean to be the man? Be the man is not to enforce power and to show power. You have physical strength or you have financial power to maneuver and maltreat and humiliate a person and demean a person and still come to sleep with the person and be feeling. That is the part I don't understand. You beat her, you sleep with her. Look at the man, he has 4 children. He's sleeping at, he has 4 children. I wonder, you should not abandon her and just go and find the one that is his size now. But that is what I tell you about the complexity of marriage, the complexity of relationships. When it comes to particular domestic violence, is very, very. It's something that that's global. It's not just an African thing. It's not African alone. It happens in even well-developed countries.
Yes.
The woman won't come out. She says, "I love him. He has come to beg me, and he's the father of my children. How will I do that to him?" It happens everywhere. So it's not just a Nigerian thing, but it is basically the more education. We cannot take out massive awareness creation, massive sensitization, and looking for champions. Let's look for people who are doing well in their marriages, who are treating women right, and bring them out, whether in the Senate or in the executive. There are people who are samples in the music industry. I mean, in things that they can be role models and champions to say, I have never hit my wife. And these men will say, I would never. Some people say, I saw my father hit my mother and I swore from. You see, the same behavior that some saw and
made changes.
I will never do it. Some others are affected that they repeat those patterns, even when they do not even mean to repeat the pattern. So it is key that we help the next generation and we stand out to say we have got to reduce this to the
much this morning for joining us on this conversation. I want to say thank you very much for your time and taking time out to speak about this issue. But just before I let you go, please, I'd like to know what's your stand on gender-based violence.
My stand on gender-based violence. Oh, gender-based violence, of course, affects any of the gender. We talk so much about women and girls, but it happens to boys and it happens to men.
Okay.
So that men don't feel, they're always talking about women. Yes, there are men who have been violated by their partners or other men,
Okay.
or women, and there are boys who have been sexually molested as well by men or women or boys or girls. Things are happening, in this age. But what we all need to do is to collectively be intentional about being a brother's keeper. Hear the noise, like you said earlier, in the community. There are numbers to call. People call us just browsing the internet, and there are apps that have information. There are sites that have information. Now we're talking about for those who have access to the internet. Somebody can run to you, and you can be their savior. You can be the one that will hide somebody just to save them and to get them access to information that will help them and keep them safe. And we'll stop losing lives. We'll stop demeaning potential. We'll stop, crushing powerful gifts that could have been contributing to the changing and development of our nation.
Okay.
We all collectively need to stand up against violence, against any person.
Okay.
Any person.
Yes.
Whether with disability or person living with HIV or the minorities, whatever. Even a sex worker is a person.
Okay.
We do not need to violate one another to be okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Princess Olufemi Kayode, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
All right. And this is a wrap on the big question this morning. And special thanks to our guest, Dr. Princess Olufemi Kayode, a criminal justice psychologist and founder at MediaCon, for speaking so much about this particular issue. Let's be a voice for the voiceless. Let's also encourage people to speak out when they're experiencing gender-based violence. My name is Daniel Adaja. I'll do this again tomorrow morning at exactly 9:15 to 10 on the radio. At 10 o'clock will be Radio Doctor, your free health consultation radio program. Real doctors advise real people. Good morning.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WFM917.
Uncle Dentist, what are cavities? And how does Colgate protect my teeth from cavities? Does it use Kung Fu?
No, dear. Most tooth pains are caused by tooth holes called cavities. When you brush daily with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, its expert formula locks natural calcium in our teeth and helps protect them from cavities.
It's time to upgrade to the world's most chosen toothpaste, Colgate, because Colgate locks calcium in.